Happy President's Day. I'm supposed to say something nice about Black History Month. I'm supposed to. I like history. So, with all that said, Fred said that I could say whatever I want. I'm gonna hold you to that. Some of y'all might not like what I have to say, but I'm not gonna lie to you. So here's the deal. I'm gonna read you this quote from my book. Blacks are among the most conservative ethnic groups in America. Somebody needs to tell them that, because as a group, we aren't voting like it. Most blacks I know are concerned with basic common sense issues like crime and inflation and the economy and taxes. Most blacks I know want equal opportunity, not equal outcomes. Republicans are interested in basic common sense issues, while progressive Democrats seem to concern themselves with trending social issues. The Democrat Party treats Black Americans as voiceless, reliable, generational support. The Republican Party is not much better in its treatment of blacks, offering few viable alternatives to progressive Democrat policies. Liberal policies sound great in political campaigns, but after several decades of unbroken support, what has the greater Black community received in exchange for decades of undying reinforcement of progressive liberal causes? Maybe it's time to audit our one-sided political support. I offer that America's Black civil rights movement has been conflated and neutered through association with the issues of supposedly oppressed minorities. This book, this essay, is my attempt to help Black voters understand that in the end, Black values matter. Prominent Stanford senior fellow, Dr. Thomas Sowell, you ever heard of him? Yes. He says Black votes matter. He believes that if the Republicans could get 20% of the Black votes, the Democrats would be ruined. From what I see, that figure would apply in Maryland as well. If Blacks continue to give their votes away to the Democrat Party with zero accounting for what the Democrats do with those votes, Black people, especially those in the inner city, should expect the same results. May I say, let's make the Democrat Party earn our votes. Let's hold them accountable for their promises and their actions. What have they done for us concerning crime? What have they done for us concerning education? What have they done for us at all? What have they done for us concerning culture? What have they done for us lately? Dr. Sowell thinks that they haven't done much, and I don't think they have either. I agree with Dr. Sowell, who I've been a big fan of since the 70s when I was a child. I'm tired of losing. I'm not sure exactly how we're going to win, but I'm willing to try. We have no choice but to work together for the greater good. And I believe that conservatives exist in Maryland. They're in the churches, and they're in the synagogues, and they're here in winning numbers, in mosques, but they're waiting for us to lead. They're waiting for us to do something in a leading fashion. Otherwise, they're going to sit back and quietly watch us fail. I'm here to help you reach out to those minorities, and maybe we can win next time. Anybody behind me? This is the part you're not going to like. Let's talk about the Maryland Republican Party. I got to get through this speech. Why did we do so poorly in the last election? The Maryland Republican Party practices fratricide. Does anybody know what that is? Or you shoot your brother in the back? You shoot your fellow military person in the back because they're not doing their job? Well, maybe, maybe not. We were not transparent with one another. We were not civil with one another. We were not an effective team. We were not unified with one another. Voters showed us what they thought of us. The election results, for example. let's see, about 70% voted Democrat for the governor, and about 30% voted for us. For Senate, about 70% voted for the Democrats, and about 30% voted for us. Here in this county, in District 6, David Trone, the Democrat, as I remember, got about 55% of the vote, and we ended up with 45.2. Now, that's not that bad, but it's still a loss, and I'm tired of losing. So, Democrat, or better yet, Maryland party affiliation. 55% Democrats, about 31% Republicans, and about 14% independent. So with that said, 45% to 55%, we still lose. So what we have to do is get some of those independents and Democrats to vote with us. They don't have to change parties, just vote for the conservative cause. Because we're out here protecting their children, and they don't know it. A lot of us have been acting out, and they think we're a bunch of crooks, to tell you the truth. Tom went to the MDGOP convention. He can tell you about it, but I'm not going to put you on the spot. So if we secured every individual vote, we would still lose. We must convince some Democrats and independents to vote with us, but we got to give them something to vote for. If the conservatives are ever to win in Maryland, we'll have to give blacks and other minorities a reason to vote for conservative issues. And those issues we had on our side. We're talking about crime, we're talking about inflation, we're talking about school curriculum, borders, freedom of speech, but we still lost. So, what's the problem? We didn't set the example. We collectively didn't do a good job selling our cause. We didn't lead, and we can lead. I believe that we can show voters some leadership. If we do, they will help us, they will vote with us, they will support us, but we've got to lead. As I say, or as we say in the military, Jorge, lead, follow, or get out of the way. Oh. So, to them, the Republicans look like the Hatfields and McCoys. Seriously. Bickering, unyielding, fighting. We're not all like that, but there were a lot of people that I ran across that were literally calling the cops on each other, physically assaulting each other. Yes, I'm not going to name any names, but it did happen. So, how did we get to this point? Can Republicans be more inclusive? So, I recently attended the Maryland GOP Gala. Did anybody else go? I paid $200 for a ticket. And my campaign manager, Hollis Albert, I don't know if you guys know him, I bought him a ticket too. So that's $400. And we were sitting on the back edge of the seats. This was a gathering for the elites. There were about 500 people in the room and about 10 people that looked like me. And half of them were on the wait staff. So with that said, it's like, why can't we recruit some more minorities? Why can't we, there was a gathering for rich people, is what it was. And the bottom line is that there should be young people in that room. There should be young people with kids in that room, because that is our quota. Those are the people that we are trying to support and defend. But I didn't see any young people in that room, very few, unless they were the college people that were taking tickets and raising money. The tables were color-coded, all right? Looked like segregation to me. Hollis said, and he's a white guy, he's like, I feel like I'm on the back of the bus. So, it was not good. It was the same old GOP that, I look around at you guys, and you guys didn't go to the gala. I was there. These were rich people throwing around money and making deals, and that is not what the Republican Party, at least the one that I support, is supposed to be like. We're supposed to be protecting children. We're supposed to be protecting families. And I just had a real problem with that. I saw a homogeneous group of elites who did not reach out to potential voters. And after attending the gala, I predicted that the Maryland GOP was going to lose badly and pay for their slights. And I was right. On election day, the red wave did not happen. Maybe the price of supporting Maryland's Democratic Party, or rather Republican Party, was just too high. I don't know. If the GOP wants to win elections in Maryland and anywhere else, we have to supplant the Democrats as the party of America's working people. So before I ran for Congress, Hollis and I reached out to the Maryland GOP for advice and support. and they ignored us. At one point, I was the only Republican congressional candidate running in District 2. And on the last day, they put in their own candidate. And then they put in some other candidates, maybe the week before, and I found myself with 5 new competitors. Now mind you, I spent $35,000 of my own money, and we raised another $20,000 for the campaign. We spent it all. And I did it gladly, because it was the right thing to do. But the result of all this political skullduggery was another loss. And Dutch Rupertberger is now the 20-year, 10-term congressman, still there wasting your money. There are good people in our party who would make good candidates, making fine winning candidates, but our party leadership appears to be interested in maintaining the status quo. Many blacks and Hispanics and Asians and Africans and other immigrants, they're conservatives. A lot of them are very, very conservative, but they're also very patriotic. But we got to reach out to them. We got to go to their churches and their synagogues and their mosques and let them know that we care and that we're fighting for their kids. If we don't, they're just going to sit on the side. And that's why I'm so happy to see groups like this get together, come together and let folks know that we're out here and that we're conservatives. The Maryland GOP does not appear to have made much of a pitch for those folks' vote. And if they want to win, they can't ignore any voter. We got to recruit them, and we got a short time to do it. We need to make ourselves available at the grassroots level, and I want the GOP to be the party that does that. It cares about regular people and their problems, not the party of the elites. So it's time for the Republicans to stop looking down on working class people. It's time for the Republican Party to reclaim its roots and rightfully take its place as part of the solution. So, as I said before, Democrats treat blacks as generational support. Democrats treat blacks, they take them for granted, and we let them get away with it. So my book talks about that. Again, if you're interested, I'm just giving you a synopsis of the book. So why should Maryland conservatives concern themselves with black values? Because black values are American values. The Democratic Party has no place for people like me. And believe it or not, there's a whole lot of people like me, just waiting for somebody to lead. Traditional family, everybody for that? Upward mobility, anybody for that? School choice, anybody for that? Patriotism, anybody for that? Those are black values. We're not the only ones in this room that believe in that. I'm tired of black people being used as an unwitting hammer for the elites to press their social programs, because that's what we're being doing. That's what's happening here. And we need to make everyone see what's happening, and my book is just a small part of that. Winning in Maryland starts right now. Right now. And here's how we do it. Small groups, people talking to each other, calling each other on their phone, getting on the internet, getting on Facebook. Saturday night, I was at a political gathering. Bunch of people having a party, but they were all conservatives over at Liquid Lives. That's apparently the Republican hangout. Last night, I was with Mercedes Bobius, and we were just kind of hanging out at a place that some folks, some of the Malvos, I hate to put them out there like that, but they're just good people, and I'm going to mention their name. But they had a gathering at their farm. 75 people showed up. And we were eating gumbo. We weren't talking about policy. We're just kind of enjoying each other's company, basking in each other's glow. But the point is, we're not alone, and we got to do more of that. We're not the bad old Republicans. That's the deal. And we got to show people we're not the bad old Republicans. So, back to the book. Black culture is under attack. Just like Chris Rock said, there's a civil war going on with black people, and we're all losing. Many of us are quick to pull the race card at the slightest provocation. We shouldn't be thinking of giving folks individual benefit of the doubt, or should we? That's what we should be doing. Perhaps we should set the example before we pull a race card. If somebody, does something you don't like, just go talk to them. They're not going to bite your head off. But the idea is that, hey, everything is racial. No, everything is not racial. That's the epitome of hypocrisy. Pulling the race card for everything. Martin Luther King would be rolling over in his grave He promoted meritocracy. But we don't hear that word anymore. The black Americans are divided. We're not standing together. We got to do better. And I'm a black guy. I'm calling it out. A great man once said, "A house divided will not stand." Ever heard of that Woman King movie?
Yes.
Yeah. Why do we allow corporate and government elites to pit us against each other? Why do black people lead the nation in negative social statistics? The real truth about that Woman King movie is that the Dahomey tribe depicted in the movie was the biggest enslaver of their African neighbors. That's how we got over here. They went out and caught our ancestors, put them on slave ships, put them in the slave castles, and sold them to the colonizers. But now it's all, Black Lives Matter and yeah. Claim what you did. That's my issue. And don't be bamboozled by this corporate history that's being, purported out there. The media controls our image. Most blacks I know are educated conservatives with conservative families. Minorities and blacks and Asians and Latinos, they came to Maryland because they want a good life, just like everybody else. They want to live in safe, comfortable, clean communities. So why are blacks portrayed in the media as poor, miseducated, downtrodden, uber violent? I'm not like that. You guys probably don't know anybody like that. Probably got a black neighbor next to you. And, you go into Baltimore and these are Americans that are being mistreated. So with that said, earlier this month, my buddy that I was in the Air Force with, this guy flew jets for 30 years. And he just got a new job, flying jets for an airline. They're paying him, they're starting him at $295,000 a year. And he gets to fly around for free. They pay him to do this. But you don't hear that story. Why don't you hear that story? You'll hear about whatever on BET and Medea and all that sort of stuff. That's the image that's being portrayed, and I got a problem with it. Bob Johnson's Black Entertainment Television was once a proud, uplifting outlet for the promotion of American culture. But since it was purchased by Viacom Corporation, BET promotes only the worst of our culture, with hip-hop hoes. Did I say it? Yeah, I did. Y'all watch that stuff. Endlessly twerking, and Tyler Perry movies. A 6'3", 250-pound man dressed up like a woman, and you think that's funny? Carrying a gun, and we're cool with that? Come on now. So how come blacks are portrayed like that? Why are we letting them get away with it? It's funny until people start believing it. So the Negro's great stumbling block in his stride toward freedom is not the majority citizens counselor or the Ku Klux Klanner, but the white moderate who is more devoted to order than to justice. That's an MLK quote. You see what I'm saying? Hillary Clinton is our enemy. That's the problem. She's over here patting us on the head, patronizing, and giving us, how's it go? The soft bigotry of low expectations. That's what we're up against. I came up in the military. Most people that I knew were striving, trying to make things happen, educating their families, being good people. It's not just the military. A lot of people are out there, but you don't hear that story. All you're hearing about all this downtrodden and killing people in Baltimore and inner cities. But I got there's more in the book about that. The Democratic progressives have clandestinely separated the black family, and that separation is bad for America. A kid with two parents is a whole lot better off generally than a kid with only one. 75% of our children are being born to only one parent. That cannot be a good thing. So, let's talk about reparations. What do folks get from President Obama? Now Fred was pulling my chain a little bit, because the first thing I did when I left the military, or retired from the military after 20 years in San Antonio, was I went and joined the Obama campaign. I went and opened my big mouth as a registered Republican. Next thing you know, I go to a rally like this, maybe a few more people, and they made me precinct chair of the Obama campaign in North San Antonio, just because I opened my big mouth. But I learned a lot. I went out and carried signs and organized the neighborhood and did all these wonderful things. But what did we get from Mr. Obama? Where's all that hope and change? Where's all that reparations? I didn't get mine. Angela, did you get yours? I know that the American Indians, bless their hearts, wonderful people, but they got $500 million. The black folks didn't get anything. Mr. Obama, did he support black values or alphabet people's values? You tell me. If you were born in this country because the good Lord put you here, you should be thankful. You could have very easily ended up in a lithium mine in the Congo, digging lithium out of the ground so some yuppie could buy an electric car. People don't realize that. You know, anybody in this country is blessed because there's upward mobility here. You can be anything you want to be if you're willing to outwork the next guy or the next girl. That's what's up. But we're not selling that story. That's the story that Republicans need to tell. So Black Lives Matter. Their organization raised over $60 million. Where'd that money go? Anybody seen of it? What's happening in Baltimore? Did anybody get any money? No. There's a story that I read on the newspaper. I could pull it up for you, but basically this woman, one of these founders of Black Lives Matter, she built a house in Georgia that was so big and had so much acreage that she had her own airstrip. And you'll find out if you dig a little bit deeper, you'll find that they didn't get money from regular folks. Oh, their donors were big corporations like Apple, Amazon, Walmart, Nike, Target, Home Depot. They were all in on it. Where did all that money go? It went directly into the pockets of Marxist anti-family lesbians. One, like I said, bought big houses and all that sort of stuff. But what did they do for the community? Because they preached that they were going to help the community. So why are elites bringing in so many migrants and refugees? I worked in my last job for DOD as their guy at DHS. I got COVID from Secretary Mayorkas. I'm not joking. I was in the elevator with him when he was walking out with his crew, and I'm like, sir, why are you leaving so early? It's only 6 o'clock. That's how we work over there. And the bottom line is he had COVID, and you can look it up in the newspaper, and he picked up COVID, and I'm like, I ended up getting COVID. I'm still unvaccinated, but the bottom line is I think that's where I got it from. But another story for another time. Afghan refugee crisis. I got to live through that. I was the guy helping to make all this stuff happen from DOD, sitting in DHS's headquarters. So let me do some country math for you. $1,400 a day times 79,000 people, unbudgeted. That comes up to $110 million a day, every day of your money, okay? At a time when our economy's falling apart, you know, a lot of bad things are happening. We're bringing people back from Afghanistan. Remember the whole continuous war thing? Why are we continuously in a war? Do you know Biden is in Ukraine right now, giving them $500 billion, well, last I checked, it was $500 million in weapons. And most of those weapons ain't gonna make it to where they're supposed to go.
I know.
There you go. You must have been a veteran. There you have it. You understand. It ain't going where it's supposed to go, but it's your money. I was in the Ukraine for 6 months back in 2003 before things got bad. I was the only black man in the whole damn country. I'm a little upset when I see things like this. So, back to where we were, $31 trillion in debt. That's something to the point of $92,000 for every taxpayer and citizen, man, woman, and child in this country. Will we ever pay that back? I don't think so. So with that said, Klaus Schwab, Bill Gates, Jeff Bezos, you know those names? Why are they making decisions for us? I don't know. They weren't elected. Do you know that Jeff Bezos, Mr. Amazon himself, who claims to be retired, Amazon owns the data contract for the National Security Agency? Did you know he owns the data contract for the Central Intelligence Agency? Did you know that he owns the data contract for U.S. Transportation Command? So that means every military movement, plane, train, automobile, boat, whatever, Amazon has access to it. And he also owns the Washington Post. So everything we do, everything we say, he has the ability to control information in our space. And most people have no idea that. That alarms me after being behind the fence for 34 years. Did you know that the World Economic Forum, you ever heard of environmental social governance? So when your kids are watching Disney and they're seeing all this woke stuff and seeing two women kissing and two men kissing and all that crap, what happens is BlackRock, anybody ever heard of BlackRock? So basically, if they were a country, they would be the third largest economy in the world. And most people don't even know that they own your pension fund. You guys do, but most people don't. And so with this environmental social governance, they want everything to be woke. They want our men to be soft and our women to be tough. They want to destroy this country, and they're doing it through information. So when your kids are watching, let's see, She-Hulk, who watches that crap? Who pays for that? It's a terrible show. I've never watched it. But the point is that our cultural myths are being destroyed before our eyes, and most people don't even realize that. And then we're feeding that into our children. And we're wondering why they're having all these mental problems. It's unnatural. It's not good, and we need to fight it. So, with that said, East Palestine, Ohio. Anybody know where that is? Ever heard of, phosgene, all that stuff? It's terrible. But our president hasn't been there. FEMA should have been on site immediately. I used to work with those guys. I mean, something happens, they got a 12-hour response time. And they're space stationed at locations all over the United States to respond to things like this. But apparently there's been a lot of train derailments and a lot of chemicals being spilled all of a sudden while our president is in the Ukraine giving our money away. Anybody got a problem with that? Yes. Me too. Spy balloons. Now, I worked as U.S. Northcom and NORAD. Anybody want to know what NORAD is? North American Aerospace Defense Command? They can track anything in the air. Trust me, I've been in all their facilities. I worked from them from 2012 to 2021. I know what they can do. But all of a sudden, we got all these balloons flying all over the place. And we're not shooting them down. That last one from China, it entered our airspace, or actually through Canadian airspace, went right over Malmstrom Air Force Base. You know what's out there? Nuclear missiles. And then it went over St. Louis and some other military facilities I won't talk about. But the issue of the day is when I was at NORAD, this time last year, there's a 2-star general that sits in Cheyenne Mountain with shoot-down authority. Anything that he doesn't see, or she, that they don't like, shoot it and ask questions later. So why did we not shoot down these Chinese balloons? I don't know. Somebody above the 2-star level told them not to. That's my guess. I got a problem with that. But I will tell you that if NORAD can track Santa, they can track balloons. Southwest border crisis. Again, I'm DOD's guy at DOD. I'm sitting 3 doors down from Secretary Mayorkas, so if he needs something from DOD, I'm the guy to go talk to. And I call over to the Pentagon and get the money. Because a lot of the stuff that you saw over the last couple of years was unbudgeted. It's not paid for. That Afghan retrograde, where we brought all those soldiers home, that was unexpected. Our previous president, who I won't mention his name, that you all know, he had a plan. And it was a good plan. I saw the plan. But as soon as Biden got in, he chucked the plan and left billions of dollars of equipment over there. Military equipment that's going to be used against our soldiers at some point. May even be used against us. I got a problem with that. So, Southwest border. Again, I'm that guy. I'm seeing 3,000 people a night come over the border, and I can't do anything about it. I lost. Oh, there it is. So, I can't do anything about it. I'm angry. They're telling me to get the vaccine. But again, these people that came across the border, we don't know where they are because we weren't tracking them. We were getting forced to take the vaccine, but they weren't. Haitian refugee crisis, remember that? 18,000 people under a bridge? I was there, okay? How do all these people know where to mass at one place on the globe? 18,000, you try to get 18,000 people to do anything at once, it's probably not gonna work out for you. Yeah. So the issue of the day, there they are. 18,000 people from a poor country, most of them don't even speak English, and we gotta deal with it. So with that said, the United States Coast Guard, bless their hearts, were tasked with the responsibility to get these people dispersed. I can tell you from the inside, the first group of Haitians that were put on Coast Guard aircraft, Coast Guard C-130s, they landed in Port-au-Prince. They thought they were going somewhere else in the United States. They tried to take over the airplane. It was not a good thing. You won't hear about this in the news, but I lived it. Another reason I'm pissed off. Pissed off old soldier. So with that said, you know, the rest of those 18,000 people, I got no idea where they are. The United States government doesn't either. So, Southwest border crisis. Oh yeah, don't you remember the border agents riding around on horses, pictures being taken that looked like they were beating people? Yeah. And that's what CNN and what's that woman, Rachel Maddow put out? Oh, it's so terrible. No, that's not how it was or worked. It was just camera angles, and somebody did that on purpose. And they created an information operations problem. And people actually believed it. And then when the retraction came out, it might as well not have happened because the word was already out. The people were thinking that we were, you know, the Customs and Border Patrol were actually beating people. And they weren't. And a lot of people lost their jobs. There was even an impetus, a plan by the Biden administration to send our Customs and Border Patrol agents over to Poland to help them with their problems while our border remained open. Yeah, I got some problems. I'm not happy. So with that said, let's go down to the next page. $5 billion in weapons when Mr. Biden is telling the Chinese to not give weapons to the Russians. Now, I don't want the Chinese giving weapons to the Russians, but isn't it kind of hypocritical? When you're doing the same thing, you fly over there, when your country's falling apart, biggest chemical spill in the whole history of the country, but you're over there giving away our money and adding to our debt. So what are we going to do about this? What are we going to do about this? Congressional lobbyists. That's our real problem. Over on K Street, anybody know where that is? They are making sure that Mr. Ruppersberger and Mr. Trone and Mr. Raskin and Mr. Sarbanes and Miss Pelosi and AOC, she doesn't get a missus. They're getting special treatment from these lawyers and these rich people. You know, the government of Saudi Arabia has more authority to act, you know, to talk to your congressman than you do. We got to change this. Anyone who voted among those Congress people to send money to the Ukraine, I'm not going to mention any names, but if you look up the congressional record, you can see who voted for that. That person is your enemy. Whether they're Republican, Democrat, doesn't matter. They're sending your money to make war on people that have done nothing to you. It's terrible that's what's going on over there. But let me tell you, we're not blameless in this thing. We built some laboratories that nobody talks about over there. I can tell you this from experience because I've been there. Our government is not without blame, and I'll leave that alone. Ever heard of central bank digital currency? CBCD. They're going to digitize our money. Biden's already signed off on it. Most people don't know what that is. I was speaking to the Republican women of Howard County, and I asked that same question. There was 30 people in the room, and I asked them what a CBDC is, and they didn't know. And then I said, do you know what a central bank digital currency is? And they said, one person raised their hand. But the issue today is our government plans to take everything digital. And if they do that, what that means is they can track everything that you do. If you go to the bathroom, they'll know. And that is not a good thing. That takes away the freedom that this country was built upon. I got a problem with it. And we need to let our Congress people, we need to let our legislator, we need to scream to the rooftops because our freedoms are being taken away. As I mentioned, BlackRock, environmental, social governance. If you ain't woke, you can't get a loan. And now, so when you get on Netflix and you see this terrible movie and they're not making anything worth watching, they can't get loans if they don't comply with BlackRock's directives. We need to wake up because this great reset is real. I read Klaus Schwab's Fourth Industrial Revolution, and they don't like us. They want us gone. I know I sound like a conspiracy theorist. It is what it is. You can back up everything. You can look in the newspaper and everything I said is the God's honest truth. I'm not lying to you. So, this woke thing ain't good for us. And I think Mr. Klaus Schwab said, you will own nothing, you will like it, and then you will eat the bugs. His words, not mine. Agenda 2030, Agenda 2021 is real. And they are going straight after the middle class. And we're letting them do it. And that's the problem I got. It's like, don't you people see what's being done to you? Your lifestyle's going to be taken away. And one day I'll be in the ground and my 18-month-old granddaughter will be running things and it won't be so good for her. These vacations and nice cars and all this sort of stuff we drive, no, it won't be available unless we do something. It's time to stand up right now. And that's what the Republican Party, at least the one that I follow, is all about. Does anybody have any questions? Guys, thank you for having me tonight. This has been great. Fred, you're the man.